Ever dream about catching fish like these? Big fish and lots of them? Well, dream no more, for here's the secret to successful fishing: lunker lure. Let's meet a man who has some brand new ideas about how to catch big fish. He's Buck Perry from Hickory, North Carolina, and he's about to try his luck in a lake he's fishing for the first time. The first thing Buck wants to know is, where do people catch fish when the fish are biting? That's no secret, because it seems the fish haven't been biting so good of late. But that news doesn't discourage Buck. He's going out to find those fish and see if he can't make them bite. He doesn't want to waste a lot of time on blind casting or on waiting for the fish to find him. He's hunting the fish, big fish, and he wants to see what this lake looks like, not just on the surface, but down below, where the fish live. A shoreline can tell a lot about what the bottom of a lake looks like and where the most likely spots are to find fish. That high bluff, for example, marks a steep bank and a deep hole. The point of land says, here's the bar, and that cove indicates shallows. Buck begins to get a picture of the lake bottom. Here's a cross-section view of a typical lake. Small fish live in the shallows. Big fish are school fish, and they group in the deeper holes. They follow ledges and bars to feed in shallower water. The fisherman's problem is to locate these migration routes. As Buck cruises the shoreline, he spots a high bluff and makes a mental note to come back and try his luck here. Here's a fish sanctuary, a deep hole along a steep shore. When these fish feed, they follow the steep bank to shallow water and then return to their sanctuary. Buck figures there's a bar extending out from the point. This is good-looking water. Here's a two-rod man. One rod for trolling, the other for casting. Time to rig up, so let's take a close look at his lures. Each of these lures is designed to run at a certain depth range regardless of the speed at which it is trolled. This smallest one runs at a depth of from 3 to 5 feet, so Buck will use it to check the water along the shoreline. This is a method of locating fish by motor trolling. If the first pass near the shore doesn't produce, the fisherman changes to a larger lure that runs deeper, and his next pass is farther from shore. If he finds a bar or reef, he will crisscross this area. A fast trolling speed is best in the shallows near shore. This brings out the action of the lure. When the lure action is right, the fisherman can feel the vibrations that are telegraphed back to the rod tip. No action along shore, so let's eliminate that water and spend no more time with it. This bigger lure will run deeper, and Buck will make his return pass farther away from shore. He follows the contour of the shoreline to maintain a constant depth, and he changes his trolling speed to vary the action of the lure. Finding the right motor speed is mainly trial and error, plus experience. Usually, trolling speed is faster in shallows, in warmer water, and when a lure is running free. Fish can be finicky about the speed of a lure and the depth at which it's running. Let out line to make a lure run deeper. Now, this lure will bump the bottom. This digging action is important in deeper water, and the fisherman has to learn the feel of a lure walking the bottom. Action like this in the rod tip tells the angler his lure is working right in deeper water, digging and bouncing along the bottom. can bet that if there were any fish at the depth Buck is trolling, he would have had action. But even the best of techniques can't produce fish when they aren't there. So he decides to go deeper and changes to a larger lure. This is a bottom walking lure and will be used that way. It will be a waste of time to troll a free running lure near the surface when the fish are deep. You've got to go down there after them. Now Buck has moved farther away from shore and is trolling in water almost 10 feet deep. He's slowed the motor so his lure can work the bottom. These fish are really in deep water, and this calls for another pass with a larger, deeper running lure. Buck figured there was a bar off this point, and his deep running lure has found it. So he's going to give the bar a good working over. He's following the contour of the bar, hunting for fish that may have moved up from their deep water sanctuary to feed. This could be a hot spot. The system works. Here's a solid strike from a heavy fish. Now this is more like it. Careful now. Let's not lose this first one. Easy does it. Good boy. A beauty. And it looks like we may have found the outskirts of lunker land. After he puts this fish on the stringer, Buck will mark the spot where he caught him. Nothing fancy about this marker, just a tin can painted red with an anchor and line. It will take more than one fish to locate this school, so back to the trolling again. Business is picking up. A good fish, and he wasn't far from the first one when he hit. It looks very much like he's located the school. This probably isn't a sanctuary, but the movement of a group of lunkers from deep water to their feeding area. Buck marks the spot before he strings the fish. Having found the hot spot, Buck will anchor his boat and switch from trolling to casting. There's a technique in casting for deep water lunkers. He lets the lure sink to the bottom before he begins his retrieve. When the lure is on the bottom, Buck lifts the rod tip smartly and retrieves the lure fast so that it walks the bottom. Hello! Here's another lunker. This casting system is paying off. Once the school of lunkers is located, it doesn't take long to catch a decent string of bragging-sized fish. This is the way an expert like Buck Perry does it, but how about